Did you like the film? Wonderful. Please welcome writer, director, producer of the film, Chris Williams.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome, Chris.
Thank you.
Jaden, a fifth grader from Franklin Elementary, wants to know, Chris, what inspired you to make this movie?
Oh my gosh. Well, when I was about your age, I fell in love with movies. I remember watching King Kong when I was very young, a movie called Raiders of the Lost Ark. Some of you might have heard of that one. Clash of the Titans, or movies, big action adventure movies that I love so much. And I wanted to tell stories. I wanted to make movies. I used to make little stop motion films with my dad in my bedroom. And I just always had this ambition to make movies. And I especially wanted to make a big action adventure story like The Sea Beast. So I think it's always been with me.
Terrific. A similar question, Gianna, from Ms. Collison's class at Alice Shaw Elementary, wants to know, did any childhood memories help you or give you ideas for the film?
Oh my gosh, that's a really good question. Well, I mentioned that I used to make movies with my dad, and that's how we really connected, and in making these stories together, and so I think I always have sort of an emotional place for movies and for storytelling. So I think that experience working with my dad on my little short films.
That's great. Elizabeth from Mrs. Cunningham's fifth grade class at Alice Shaw. Is she here? Oh, my goodness. No, but anyway, she had a good question. She wanted to know, how did you decide how the monster would look?
Oh, my gosh. Well, we work with really talented artists and designers, and we spent probably months working on the design of Red, the red bluster. And that's one of the things that's important to understand. And you're seeing all these names behind me. All these people worked on this movie. It's hundreds of people working for many years on the film. And so, yes, I directed the movie, but I was very fortunate to work with this incredible crew. And we had an amazing designer named Shiyun, and it was really his creation.
Did you guys like the monster? That's great. Alexa from Mr. Gideon's sixth grade class at Franklin School would like to know, how did you come up with the other characters?
Oh my gosh. As I said, I always loved these big adventure stories when I was a kid, and I love these strong and courageous heroes with hearts of gold that are willing to put their lives on the line to protect others, and that was really the inspiration for the Jacob character, right? But then, of course, we have young Maisie Brumble, right? And we wanted to introduce a character that was going to be really smart, think really fast, and kind of spin circles around Jacob and get him back on his heels a little bit. And so we really wanted to create characters that would balance each other and be great foils for each other. Foils means that they bring the best out of each other.
Mr. Quintero's fifth grade class at Canalino Elementary School would like to know about the process of animating the Sea Beast.
Oh my gosh. Well, we work with about 120 animators, I believe, on this film over the course of a couple years. And one of the things we wanted to do for our creatures was make them feel like real animals. And so we would study actual film of animals. For reference for the Red Bluster, we looked at a lot of film of lions and tigers because they have this sort of cool confidence, and they seem very regal and very wise. And so we would study film reference of those kind of animals. But for the way that Red moves when she's on land and she's kind of prowling around on her knuckles, we looked at a lot of reference of gorillas, actually. And so we were very inspired by actual animals in our world.
Audrey from Mrs. Burge's class at Brandon School.
There's Audrey.
Is Audrey here? She wants to know, what was the hardest or toughest part of making the movie, and what part was the most fun?
Okay, the hardest part, probably how long it takes. Because for me, it was about a 4.5-year journey. that I worked on this film, and every day is long, and at a certain point you start to kind of wear down, right? But I'm always very bolstered and very supported by the incredible crew, and that probably brings me to the fun part of it. The fun part for me is that it's so collaborative. I'm not doing it by myself. We're working in rooms, story rooms with great story artists and writers, and we are in editorial rooms with great editors, and we're working with great animators and people who place the actual, who build the sets and the characters and the lights and everything. I get to work with all those people, and we get to work together. And that's what I'm most love about animation, is that it is so deeply collaborative.
Excellent. Miss Pendergrass, 5th grade class at Washington Elementary. Yes!
Yes, yes.
They want to know, how long did it take to make the movie from start to finish? And can you tell us the process?
Sure, yeah. Oh boy. How long do we have? Well, as I said, it took about 4.5 years to make the movie. But in a sense, it's something I've been thinking about for a very long time. You know, I mentioned even when I was a kid about your age, I used to dream about making movies. And I've been thinking about this particular story for about 10 years. I always loved those old maps, those old unfinished maps, where the map makers would populate the oceans with these really fanciful illustrations of sea monsters. And I always thought that'd be a really cool world for an animated movie. And so that thought has been kind of in my head for about 10 years. And to describe the process, I would say it is a long process. There's many stages along the way. We write the script, we storyboard the film, we then lay out the scenes, which means we actually place virtual cameras and virtual sets with our virtual characters, and then we animate it, and then we light it, and then we place things like effects, which is the water or the fire or anything like that, and then at the end of all that, you have a movie.
Miss Leslie's 5th grade class at Brandon School would like to know...
Where we at? Where we at? Over here? A whole aisle?
Sorry about that. Did you do any of the animating yourself?
Oh, no. Otherwise, the movie wouldn't look very good. I am not an animator myself, but I'm fortunate to work with incredible animators. This is what they do for a living. And so my job as a director is to be able to articulate, to explain to the animators the movie or a scene or a moment so they can take all of their incredible talent and channel it the right way to support the movie.
Excellent. Emma from Miss Manilay's 5th grade class at Roosevelt Elementary would like to know, what is your favorite thing about directing?
Oh my gosh. Well, maybe when it's over, because it's so nice to be in a situation like this where I was backstage actually listening to you guys watch the movie, and it was actually really emotional for me to hear the response and feel the connection that you guys were having with the film. So there is a great reward in getting to the end of the line and actually having something to show people. But I would say, as I mentioned, it is really, really collaborative. And that to me is very rewarding, the fact that every step of the way I'm working with incredible people towards a goal.
Gianna from Miss Collison's class at Alice Shaw Elementary, is she here?
Oh, in the back there?
She wants to know, did you have any problems during the making of the movie, and how did you overcome them?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, it's almost like every day is a new series of challenges, and as we're putting together the story will evolve and change a lot. And one of the things that people are surprised to know is the very first version of the story, the Maisie Brumble character was not even in that version of the story. The first script that we had and the first set of story reels, which is our first attempt to create the movie visually, she was not in it, but the story wasn't working, and the creation of the movie is a series of stages of trying to get closer and closer to the great movie that's out there somewhere, right? And so yeah, I think we had a story that initially wasn't playing as well, and then we continued to work hard and collaborate and fix all the problems till we finally arrived at the movie that you watched today.
Javier from Miss Ruther's 5th grade class at Alice Shaw Elementary would like to know, did you have to get a degree in college to be a director? And what degree?
Well, not necessarily. I did study fine arts. I like to paint and draw, and I studied that in university. And then I studied for a couple years animation at a college up in Canada, where I'm from. But it's not necessary. It's certainly people working in animation have to work very hard to get to the place where they can contribute to an animated film. But I wouldn't say you necessarily have to have one degree or another.
Okay. Mr. Quintero's fifth grade class at Canalino Elementary School would like to know, do you recommend that we pursue a career in animation and movie making?
I'm going to say if that's your passion, if that's what you're excited about, then yes, absolutely. When I went to study animation, it was over 30 years ago, and it was a very different world back then. The animation industry has really expanded and grown in the last 30 years, and it actually feels like a really viable way to make a living. So if that's what you're excited about, if that's what you most want to do, then I would say absolutely go for it.
Excellent. George from Mrs. Ruth, fifth grade class at Alice Shaw Elementary, wants to know, what was it about the voice actors that led you casting them, and why those specific actors?
Oh, that's a great question. There's an actor named Carl Urban who plays Jacob, and he is really good at playing tough guys, but he himself is actually a really sweet and gentle guy, and really easy to talk to, a very warm person. And I think he's really good at playing these hardened, tough guys because his goodness kind of shows, you can hear it, you can tell he's actually really a great guy. And so I think that's why we wanted Carl to play Jacob. And with Maisie, we wanted to cast somebody who actually was younger. We didn't want to cast an adult pretending to be younger. So we needed to find a young girl, a young woman. And so we put out a wide casting net. We talked to a lot of girls who lived mostly in the UK and in London, England. And when we heard Zara Angel Hader, who plays Maisie, right away we thought she was probably the one. And we had a long sort of a period where we were trying to make sure we had the right person, but at the end of the day, our initial instincts were correct. And she's someone who is really a great actor, but she's also really, really a good kid, and she comes from a great family, and she was really hardworking. And there's that scene at the end where where the king tries to shout her down, and she stands up to him. And I heard you guys all cheering at that moment, and that's the big emotional highlight of the film. And we needed to find someone who was a great actor, but also had that kind of strength. And so we found her in Zara Angel Hader.
That's great. Elv from Mrs. Ruth, fifth grade class at Alice Shaw Elementary would like to know, when you were our age, what did you want to be when you were a kid?
Oh my gosh. Well, I didn't really think about it. I was very busy being a kid and just playing with my friends and riding my bikes and my skateboard and stuff like that. But as I said, I love to draw, and the idea that I would one day be able to draw and write and create stories, that would have been a dream come true for me. So I'm very fortunate that I get to do this for a living.
Excellent. And the very, very last question. Mr. Quintero's fifth grade class at Canalino Elementary School would like to know, will there be a CB stew?
I think the answer is yes. There will be a CB stew.
So you guys would like to see a CB stew? I guess you're going to have to do it. Well, let's give a warm thank you for Chris.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.